Okay, as promised, 5 minutes of truth. Here we go. The Attorney General just published his advisory opinion on whether sanctuary cities are or not in Virginia. So here's the article. I published it right here. Attorney General issues advisory opinion on Second Amendment sanctuaries. No legal effect. Okay, so let's talk about that just for a second. First of all, what he's saying actually is correct. The localities have absolutely no authority under Virginia rules to make laws that contradict with Virginia state law. So if a law like Senate Bill 16 comes out and says you can't have this kind of prohibited weapon under penalty of felony perjury, the city of Chesapeake can't create an ordinance that says, but they're illegal here. Okay, so that part of the Attorney General's opinion letter is accurate. And we've talked about that. I mean, that's just how it is. A city can't rally and say, we're not going to follow the state law. There's something called the Dillon Rule. They have to follow it. That's just how it is. And that's why I talked yesterday about let's get this resolution going about fiscal responsibility and whether or not the localities can actually afford to impose the laws that Richmond is going to move forward on. So that part is true. It goes downhill pretty much from there. When the General Assembly passes new gun safety laws, they will be enforced and they will be followed. What we're talking about is common sense gun safety laws that Virginia voted for just a few weeks ago, like universal background checks that make sure that dangerous people aren't buying guns. Too many Virginians lost their lives in the past, and it's time that we enact these gun safety measures that will make our community safer. That's what the Attorney General says in his opinion letter. Then he goes in, surprisingly then he goes in and he talks about the Virginia Constitution and how the way that the state law works is the state law is supreme over the local law. And he says, he quotes and he says, these constitutional, statutory, and common law doctrines establish that resolutions neither have any force or effect or authorize localities or local constitutional officers to refuse to allow or decline to enforce gun law. Okay, that is actually true as well. The Virginia Constitution says that, but look at this. Here's something the Virginia Constitution says as well, right here. Article 1, Section 13. It's basically verbatim of the U.S. Federal Second Amendment, but it says that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So, Attorney General Herring, if we're going to talk about what the Virginia Constitution says, maybe we should be talking about Article 1, Section 13 of the Virginia Constitution. And also, there's also this little thing called the Supremacy Clause of the United States, which says that the United States federal laws trumps the state law, and at the present time, the firearms that we're talking about making illegal are legal under federal law. So, but semantics. Let's not get into that. All right. Here's the one part of the article that I really want to focus on. This one right here. You kind of look at this. Now, this is the liberal media right here. Over 10,000 Virginians have been killed by a gun since 2007. Okay. They love to say that because they include suicides. Okay. 60% of people killed by guns were killed by suicide. Okay. So 4,000 people have died by homicide involving a firearm. And 1/5 of all firearm owners commit a crime who have lawfully purchased a firearm. So that's 20%. So if you go through and you legally buy a firearm, 20% of the state's population commits a felony involving a homicide with a firearm or some type of firearm felony. So of the 4,000, that's 800 people in 10 years. Okay, so that's 80 people a year. Now, that's a lot. I'm not trying to say that's not a lot of people, but it ain't 10,000. And if you were to say 800 people over 10 years, that doesn't quite get. If you would say 800 people who've lawfully purchased firearms under current existing laws have committed felonies involving homicide with firearms, which is an accurate statement, it doesn't quite get the truth, or doesn't quite get the grab. of 10,000 people have died in Virginia. All right. Now, people are going to kill themselves, and that's how it is, and that's unfortunate. A lot of them use guns, but if guns weren't there, I suspect that most would find other methods. But here's the other Pinocchio, double Pinocchio, triple Pinocchio. Obviously, when Governor Northam talks, it is always a Pinocchio. Look at this. Northam said that there will be no retaliation for becoming a Second Amendment sanctuary, and none of his proposed bills include taking guns away. Okay, none of his proposed bills? I haven't seen any of his proposed bills, but what I have seen is Senate Bill 16, and let's just look at Virginia's own session here. It says it prohibits any person from importing, selling, transferring, manufacturing, purchasing, or possessing an assault firearm, and doing so is a Class 6 felony. Okay, by Richard Sasla, who's one of the chief Senate Democrats in the Virginia Senate. 100% sure what Governor Northam is saying. I mean, does he have his own bills he's getting? I mean, the governor doesn't propose bills. He talks to the legislature, tells them what they want, and then they move it forward. So I'm not 100% sure what he says, that none of his proposed bills include taking guns away, but there's definitely proposed bills that have been lodged by Democrats in the Virginia Senate and the Virginia House that will make you a criminal for owning certain firearms that you may have legally purchased. And the only way to comply with those laws as they're written would be to surrender them or to get them out of the state. Now, of course, things may change as things work their way through, but there are definitely bills on that. I like how they're trying to transfer the talking point away to where, oh, hey, we're this all reasonable body. It's just not true. It's not true, Facebook. So again, keep in mind, I've said it from the beginning, sanctuary cities do not have any teeth. You're not gonna be able to legally disobey Virginia state law inside of a sanctuary city or sanctuary county. They're not going to even literally be able to withhold funding to their police to enforce these laws. That's not how it works in Virginia. So that's why the fiscal budget resolution that I've proposed yesterday would be a good way to get the localities moving in that direction. But you just gotta think about how special it is that our Attorney General wants to lecture us about how the Virginia Constitution works, while at the same time totally and unequivocally not paying attention to Article 1, Section 13, which says, shall not be infringed. The rights of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I don't know what the word infringed means to him. The Second Amendment says almost the same thing. And so, come on, Attorney General Herring, don't stay on your high horse and talk about how the Virginia Constitution is going to work when you are using the Virginia Constitution to say why sanctuary cities aren't enforceable. Have a great weekend, Facebook. Tim Anderson. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.